1 second before you get into, actually, this was Sayers' question. He's like, ask McGrath about the knack-knack. Because without
Sayers
the
been
knack-knack,
wondering this for a long time.
so without the knack-knack, he's like, we wouldn't have a job right now. So ask him where it came from.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, some people say that. I don't like to take credit for that stuff, but look, I think there was a big group of us that were kind of what I like to call trying to find our line, right? I was a racer and I was trying to win races and all that stuff, but I was always this kid that never wanted to do the same as somebody else. Like if you ever looked at my old races, you ever looked at any of my stuff, like I was always trying to be different on the track and off the track for that matter.
Yep.
But, so the knack-knack is just one of those things. Look, I have a BMX background. That's where I came from. The funny thing about this whole thing is it's a BMX trick, right? It's like guys like Eddie Fiola and Mike Dominguez and Brian Blyther and all these guys I used to watch when I was a kid at Pipeline. When I was racing BMX, I was 10 years old. These guys were in the parks flying high. And, they were doing these kind of tricks. So in BMX, you don't hardly get it. The idea in BMX is that you kind of stay low and you suck up all the jumps and you try to be on the ground as fast as you can, as much as you can, so you can pedal. Right. And so that was kind of my nature in Supercross. Like I brought this BMX style that kind of like the Guy Coopers and the Jeff Stantons and even the Bradshaws, who we all looked up to. Those are the Ricky Johnson, David Bailey, Johnny O'Mara, Jeff Ward, all those dudes. Back then, the idea of bringing a BMX style to Supercross, it really didn't exist. Everyone was trying to get as much air as possible, as much style as they could get. Right. And, if you look back now, I'm not even sure how they really made their time on the track. It's pretty funny. I don't know. So when that style kind of came in, it was like, all right, cool. This is a whole different style. But then I started winning races. I started winning a lot of races. I was like, okay, well, now what can I do to separate, make myself different than everybody else? Everyone at the time might be going, man, he's just winning too much. What's going on here? And I was like, all right, well, let's try to change the focus on what people are thinking. Right. And so just ironically, Eric Carter, who's a friend of mine racing BMX and he's a super legend in BMX world and mountain bike world for that matter. And I had a Supercross track growing up. So practicing at my track, I was always just looking for something to be different. And I got the nickname Showtime because I'm out there on my track showing off for my parents. My dad's like,
so rad,
and there was nobody to show off for when I was an 80 novice. You know what I mean? I'm out there just trying to style my way to the top. It's pretty funny. Anyway, so I started working on the knack-knack and obviously it's evolved so much over the years.
It's insane.
The style, the things they're doing now, I really can't even do.
It's cool because there's so many different styles of the knack-knack.
There is,
from every different dude. So that's what's rad too.
Yeah. And so the beginning was just kind of like this, this awkward looking, move your foot off the bike kind of thing. And I was just trying to replicate what they were doing on BMX bikes. And, it started to work. People were like, oh man, they were freaking out about this. Even, this is a story about Dave Arnold, my team manager, like 94 Orlando was probably the first time I ever busted it out at a stadium. Mm-hmm. And he came right back to the pits and he's like, you're not doing that. He's like, you're for sure falling off the bike. This too dangerous. We're not doing that.
I was wondering if you ever got any backlash for that.
Yeah. So look, you can do a lot of things and you can get away with a lot of when you're winning races. I wasn't always a perfectly modeled student, right? He said probably I shouldn't be doing that, but I was like, well, you know what happens when someone tells you can't do something.
I'm going to do it twice as much.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how the knack-knack was born. And I did it in practice in 94 at Orlando. And then I don't think I did it in the final because I didn't win the race. And so I like to be flashy, but I liked it for it to have a meaning.
Yeah.
And I think maybe first time I might have ever done it for a win was maybe Anaheim that same, later that year.
What year was that?
94, I think.